Do you ever feel stuck in that conversation with your teenager about phones? Not sure when to say yes, not sure when to say no, and honestly, not sure anyone around you has a good answer either. On this episode, I'm sitting down with my buddy Jason Ashdown. He's a dad of two daughters, and he's been one of the first people I've shared the Formation in Phones ebook with, way back before this was even a series. And here's what stood out to me. Jason didn't wait for me to walk him through the framework. He read the ebook on his own and immediately knew where his oldest daughter stood in her identity formation. He just knew her that well. So in this conversation, we get into how he's navigating phones, screens, and independence with a teenager stepping into high school. You're going to hear a story about a flag football team, a house phone with some real guardrails on it, and a conversation about Instagram that didn't go the way Jason expected it to go. If you're a parent standing on that same edge, wondering where to hand ever more freedom and how to do it without losing the relationship, this one's for you. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. On today's show, we have Jason Ashdown, just a good buddy of mine. We've recorded a bunch of things. But tell us about yourself. Tell us why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, what's up, man? Good to be back. Good to see you. I am a dad of two daughters.
Yes,
One
you
who is
are.
she's turning 15 in like 10 days, which is
Let's go.
crazy. Yeah, she's amazing. Starting high school this year, playing flag football, and she's incredible. And then I also have a 10-year-old daughter who is incredible, starting fifth grade. So, one of the many questions that obviously is swirling around in my head has to do a ton with devices and screens and independence and
Yes.
how to navigate that, right? That's the age old question. Now our kids are like, when did you get them a phone? Should I get
Yeah.
them a phone? What can
Yep.
they do with it? So I hit you up and said, dude, help me navigate this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're actually one of the first people that I shared my Formation in Phones ebook with. And I was right at the beginning of this whole thing. I just
Yeah.
had this idea. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna just record this stuff and see if anyone needs it. And then we happened to
Yeah.
have this conversation. And the thing that stood out to me was you were saying that you had asked a bunch of people about what to do with the phone and when to give your child the phone. And your experience was that there weren't that many people that had any kind of insight.
No, 100%. Yeah. It's funny to think about still like how new kind of it all is. I was thinking back, okay, well, what was my experience? It's like, dude, I didn't get a cell phone till I was in college, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
and it was the dumbest phone, the coolest Nokia you could change the faceplate though. Like that was hip, that was cool, you know what I mean? So like so yeah, and now just like with the internet at in your pocket and we know the effects positive and negative that can have on formation and just my daughter growing, wanting to be more like Jesus and be herself, all that, especially a high schooler coming into, all
Yeah.
of that potential new school trends. I mean, there's just like so many formational moments, right, that she's gonna walk through.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I don't want to fumble this one, you know,
No, for
like
sure.
so yeah, I had reached out to a couple of other friends that were like, well, what did you guys do? And most of them, I don't have very many friends that have, kids older than mine. So that's kind of like, all right, we're figuring it out together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really awesome. And when we sat down and I was just telling you about this project that I was doing, I sent you just this little ebook on this Formation and Phone series that I'm
Yeah.
creating. And again, I think I only had like one or two episodes out of like the however many I've made now.
Yeah.
But what stood out to me was you read through the ebook, and before you even took the assessment of trying to figure out where your daughter was in her identity formation, like
Yeah.
you read through the ebook and you nailed it. You're like, this is where my child is
Where
at.
she
Can
is.
you walk me through just reading through the ebook and the ideas and how
Yeah.
you
I
were
mean,
able to do that?
yes, the tool is amazing. The ebook was super helpful because it gave language to kind of what I was
Yes.
experiencing, right? So it's
Yes.
like, okay, and I know my daughter well, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
so like it's kind of my job, to
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
parent her and shepherd her, walk alongside her, and know her goods and her bads, her faults, and so she is very good student like I am. She's a high performer like I was. She finds a lot of value and self-worth in grades, and she's a hard worker,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so as I was reading through, oh, these are the 4 or 5 kind of categories you could fall into, I was like, oh dude, this was just like jumping off the page because
Oh, okay.
I know her, you know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then the more when you were just talking about exploring and stuff like that, I was thinking about her journey. She I think she may have more exploration than I maybe know of or was aware of. I'm starting to see more of it now because she was in a school where it was like the Christian values and Jesus following was like not the thing. It was
Yeah,
very much the other way. It was the 100% like do what feels right, seeker, all that kind of stuff. So even in kindergarten, first, second, third, fifth, sixth, seventh grade, she has to navigate that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and wasn't really ever in kind of just an enclosed Christian school, Christian thing. And so she came to that middle of seventh and into eighth grade. And as you were talking, I was just reminded of that, and wondering like she has those performer tendencies like I do and did. But I wonder if she does have a little bit more grasp than I even know. And you know what this tool does is it like encourages the conversation, right? Even
yes,
more,
yes,
which is like huge because now I feel like I have the tools I need to
yeah,
say, why do you think about that? Or like,
yeah,
you're watching this
yeah.
show, like, what stands out to you? Or what do you like? Or what do you not like? And it's
That's
just like,
yeah,
it takes all of the it takes a lot of the fear out of my mind, heart, soul to just be like, "Oh, yeah, well, what do you think?" Or like, "Yeah,
yeah,
sure, like,
yeah.
let's talk about that." So
No, and the thing is, like, the exploring is gonna happen, and
oh, totally.
I would rather it happen in your home with your mentoring
Yes.
and the
Yes.
safety of a loving relationship than for them to do
Yes.
it later. Like, every
That's right.
person in the world has to add a less, and some
Yes.
people do it costs less at 12 than it does at
Yeah.
50. I know lots of
Yeah.
people that wait till they have a family, a home, a career, and everything, and then they just start, "Oh, let's explore this thing," and they lose it
Right.
all.
Yes,
Whereas if
right.
you're doing it at 12 or 15, like you have, like,
Low risk. Yeah.
low risk, but it's safer for your child.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I love
Yes.
I love that you see that it's natural, that it's gonna happen, and
Yeah.
then you can guide the
That's right.
exploration, you can mentor the exploration. Can you
That's
walk
right.
us through, like you said, like, maybe there are some ways that, like, she's mentoring that you don't know, but, like, the encouragement, like, what are some of the things that you are seeing in the way that
Mm.
she's exploring? Like, is she exploring music? Because you explore
Mhm, mhm.
in the realms of ideas, vocation, and relationships. You know what I
Oh, that's
mean?
good. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, like, how's she exploring her future? How's she exploring
Yes.
ideology or Christianity?
Yes.
How's she
Yes.
exploring, like, relationships with friends?
Mhm.
And, like, these are the best friends, and, like, these are friends that, like, are acquaintances, but I still want,
Mhm, mhm.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Dude,
Walk me
so
through, like, how she's exploring.
Dude, so this is cool. So she's going to a brand new high school. It's a smaller high school, Christian high school. She's playing flag football. So she was the eighth grade captain quarterback last year. And now she's
Let's
coming
go.
in, right, to like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know anybody. This
Yeah.
is hard. This is challenging. And the first couple of weeks of practices, she was just like, Dad, no one's connecting or anything like that. Then we had a week break or they were gone for a while, came back. And this Monday, I dropped her after practice, picked her up, and she's like, Dad, I made friends. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And she's like,
Let's
well, this is what was crazy. She's like, well, the one girl that's kind of like in charge of it all, like she wasn't there. And so like all the other friends weren't trying to impress her. And then Hazel, so I'm like, oh my gosh,
Ah.
like she has
She's
so much wisdom.
navigating those.
Yes, dude. She's
Yes.
navigating. So now the cool thing is she's older. Like one of the best decisions we ever did was just like hold her back earlier on in her school career. So
Yeah,
she's like
yeah,
the oldest freshman in her class,
yeah.
and has a lot of maturity there. And so it's just navigating. Yeah, how am I the backup quarterback? How do I make friends on the team? How do I break in? Because there's a bunch of girls that she was noticing. She's like, yeah, there's a bunch of freshmen that don't want to be friends with the other freshmen. They're trying to be friends with the sophomores. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wild. So you're like navigating all the high school drama on top of like learning plays and trying to learn routes and pull flags,
Yeah.
so I've seen a lot of it, which has, like, been
Yeah.
really, really cool. Her navigating that and just her insight and wisdom is cool, and it's we were driving back and was just able to say, like, "Hazel, like, that's a lot,"
Yeah.
Like, just, like, give yourself some
Awesome.
grace, right? Yeah,
Awesome.
like
And that's the
yeah.
thing to do as opposed to like the performer parent, like, this is the
"Oh,
way
do
that
this,
you
make
got
sure
to
you do
do
that.
it.
Yeah, do this. Don't talk to her
You know what I
anymore, like, you should go
mean?
do
Like
this." Yeah,
meeting,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
meeting her where she's at.
yes.
So yeah, the principle is you guide the exploration and then you encourage the commitment. And I think a lot of performer parents like want to, they're not guiding the exploration, they're like mandating the exploration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And they're not
100%.
encouraging commitment, they're like mandating commitment. And like
Correct,
you
correct, right.
cannot do either of those things for your
Yeah,
child. And
yep.
it's interesting, like it's like watching your child explore is probably the scariest thing,
Dude,
you know what I
yes.
mean? But it's the best thing for your child, but
Yes,
also your
yes,
relationship with your child. So
yeah.
is it hard to watch that? I mean, it's exciting to also see it like work out awesome, but is it kind of scary
Mhm.
to like that's a huge unknown and it'd be easier if she just did what you told her to, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. I
But she
mean,
doesn't
it
grow.
is no, it is very scary, especially when I think about, like, shows that she wants to watch or music. The music, not as much, um, because I think we had those conversations early, and it wasn't necessarily so this is cool, like, I love vinyl records, and so
Yeah.
I invited my daughter into that, like, or whatever, and then the Taylor Swift stuff pops off, and so I'm like, "Hey, do you wanna go buy a Taylor Swift record?" She's like, "What? Yes," all this kinda stuff, so, like, the new record had come out, but there was an explicit lyric sticker on it, so, I was like, "Okay, let's talk about this,"
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's good.
um, this here's some reasons why this has this sticker on it. Let's talk about what you like about it. Let's talk about what we like about it. Let's talk about why we may say yes or why we may say no. And it was just like, what do you think? And just put that in front of her. Like, why do you think mommy and daddy are like, I don't know if that's the best choice for you right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah.
um, so that's been fun to navigate the music stuff. But the shows I'll get a little bit more nervous at, to be honest. Like she'll ask, "Hey, can I watch this?" And then it's like, okay, I'll look at the rating and try to do some homework a little bit. But honestly, I'm just like, go for it. But in my mind, in the back of my mind, I'm like, should she be watching Modern Family? And should I be watching it with her?
Yeah.
But we just let
But
her
you
like
could
explore
process
that.
it with her. You can, mentor
Yes,
her
yeah,
through it.
yeah.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
back to the phones thing you shared. Um, First of all, share like the situation with your oldest, and the phone thing. And then
Oh
you
yeah.
had mentioned, a conversation that was happening where you stepped in and said, maybe not so much. And she
Mhm.
stepped away from that. Can you just share that story?
Yeah, so she doesn't have her own phone. We have a house phone that we introduced when she started wanting to go hang out with friends. Dad, can I go to her house or can I go see a movie with her and her family? It's like, yes, but then it's
Oh,
like, ah,
Oh, and
is
that's
that
the
what you're talking
insight you
about?
got from yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
that house phone is the insight you got from Eric, you
yes,
know?
a mentor of mine. Exactly
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
he's one of the guys that has girls that are older than me. And I was like, how did you do this? He's like, well, here's what we did. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. So like,
yeah,
it's available for her to use, but it like lives in the kitchen. It's plugged in all the time. It doesn't live in her room. Anytime that she wants to use it, she just asks permission. And 9 times out of 10, we say no. But then we just tell her, like, hey, we're going to read all of your text messages and we're going to see all
yeah,
the chats and all that stuff. And
yeah,
so, yeah, like randomly one day I was looking at this group chat and there was just conversation and language I thought was like incredibly inappropriate. And so I was like, Hazel, like, I want you to leave this chat. And so she did, like, which is great. And then her friends like tried to pull her back into the chat. And she's like, no, 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 you don't understand. Like, my dad was really mad, So like, but like, and then like left the chat again. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, just an opportunity for her to explore, to text her friends, to have those conversations. I look at them sometimes, and happen to look at this one. And then we are able to have a conversation on why I think this is helpful or hurtful.
Yeah, no, man, that's such a great story. Oh, man, and I love that, like, it's what I call bounded exploration, right? Like,
Mm,
there
yes,
are
yeah.
guardrails, but you're giving her an opportunity to explore. but the
Yeah.
guardrails are there to keep her safe,
Yes. Because
and
she doesn't know what she doesn't know.
yeah, and you've created an
Right.
opportunity for her to earn the right and
That's
earn the
right.
privilege and the freedom to
That's right.
eventually do this, which man, you're about to enter high school and like the pressure
I'm
is on. You
dude.
were just telling
Yeah, I
me
know.
last week of like before you went on your trip that your wife and your kids were up there and all of her friends, Hazel's friends, like
Yes.
had yeah, and
Is
like you guys
they're getting
needed to have that
Instagram, right? Should we
yeah,
have Instagram? I'm like, no. And in the text message, I was just like, just tell her daddy says no, which is like totally
yeah.
the performer answer, the
Yeah,
mandate
yeah.
thing. But then when I got up with her this past week. I was like, hey, so mommy was telling me that you want Instagram. I'm like, why? So just ask
Yes.
her. Like, well, Lily got it because it was an opportunity for her to connect with friends and and all this social connection. And I was like, that I understand some whys, but like just again, like here's what we do in our family. Here's what we think is like the most healthy thing for you. Like it would be so
Yeah,
easy for you to hop on Instagram and try to do all this, but like why don't you
yeah,
just like have face to face conversations with these people?
yeah,
Like it's gonna
yeah,
be better. So
yeah.
it's all
Oh,
forming
man.
her, right? So
Yeah, no, bro, it's the Santa Claus principle. This is what I call the
mm,
Santa Claus principle. Like, you don't want your kid to be the first one to tell everybody that Santa Claus isn't real, but
100%.
but you also don't want your kid to be the last kid
Swan,
to know that
dude,
Santa Claus isn't real.
100%, dude,
and
100%.
and so you're like right at that like well like we don't necessarily want to give them a phone but we don't
Right.
necessarily want them to be the last person because
Yes.
then you
Then you're
create
the
this like they're the odd kid out, you know what I
yes,
mean?
right.
And so like
Exactly.
that's
Yes.
that's a real that can also be a real traumatic thing for
Yes.
your child because then they see themselves as like the weird odd kid. Now at the end of the
Right.
day you got to protect your kid and that's your prerogative
Correct. Right. Yeah.
100%.
Whatever you want to
But like
choose. Yeah.
that Santa Claus principle, man, is a real deal, and you're stepping into
Yes.
that, man.
I know, bro. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah.
No, but I love that. But here's the other principle that I think you're doing right. Like preparing your kid for the phone isn't when they're 12 or 15. It's when they're
Mm,
2.
yeah.
And my
Yeah.
my my kid just turned 3, and holy cow,
Yeah.
like regulating his nervous system, especially
Yeah.
when mine's off. Like, oh, bro,
Yeah.
we mess up kids at 2 years old. And
100%, dude.
so, like, I mean, it starts at 2 years old and
Yeah.
teaching them and modeling for them like
Yeah.
how to regulate your nervous system and how to
That's right.
regulate like your emotions. And
That's right.
bro, you're doing it, man. I mean, I love that like you're
Thanks.
mentoring your kid and you're watching bounded exploration. You're doing all the right things. So,
Thanks,
and
man.
any insight that you could add either out
Mm.
of these principles or
Mhm.
something that you're
Mhm.
exploring yourself?
Well, the cool thing about the ebook that you sent me, it like I was saying, like it gave me tools and it gave me more encouragement. And so now I feel way less intimidated about these conversations because I could see, oh no, like in my
Yes.
mind, I think I'm setting her up for success, but actually I'm setting her up for failure. So
Or
that
you're delaying the
y-
development by like,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then so then I was like, okay, no, I want her to be rooted and I want her to understand why the whys behind the whats. And so let's have more conversations. And so yeah, so I would just say that's been like a gift for sure.
No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of
Um,
course, man.
that conversation with Jason is a great picture of what I mean when I talk about bounded exploration. He's not controlling his daughter's every move, and he's not handing her the keys and walking away either. He's giving her room to explore with guardrails that keep her safe. And he's staying in the conversation the whole way through. That's the work. Not one big conversation about phones, but 100 small ones starting way before your kid ever asks for one. If this helped you think differently about the exploration your own kid is walking through right now, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with another parent who's in the thick of this. And stick around because Jason and I aren't done. We recorded a second conversation about a completely different side of this framework. What happens when you build something to your fullest identity inside an organization that only wants a performance? That one's coming soon. Thanks for checking it out. And as always, don't forget, be unique, but belong.